all that.
All those crops. Yeah.
Now for opioids, do you use Suboxone or methadone, or both can be used, or you can use either?
You can use, it depends on the practice. You can use methadone, you can as well use Suboxone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then to clarify your question, Stephen, which was, well, are we going to have a big clientele in terms of heroin abusers? But if we're also targeting opioids,
it's both opioid and heroin. Yeah. You know,
yeah.
Opioid and heroin.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that's a very wide gamut. Again, I mean, what we're trying to do here is trying to limit this thing and kind of bring it down and narrow it, and target a specific people. And that's kind of what we're looking at. And that's why I'm asking about the different types of drugs that we're trying to target here, because that is a very wide gamut.
No, we are going to be treating opioid. I know heroin is a form of opioid, you know. So, so that's what we're going to be treating. We are not going to be talking about
alcohol.
Because alcohol is a different, is part of it,
or
but
cocaine
or cocaine. We don't treat cocaine. It's nothing you're going to use for cocaine. All we do when we have them, we just give them chloroquine and monitor them. That's all. Yeah, and those one will not kill them quickly. They go into kind of distress mode, but you will not. It will not kill them immediately. But heroin will kill them immediately, and when we hear about death from opioid, is mostly is cocaine with. I mean, is heroin with all those opioids.
Another.
Yeah.
So the other thing too. Yeah, I think we're gonna get more specific as we go, Stephen.
So maybe what we should be talking about, we should just talk about opioid addiction.
Opioid addiction clinic, yeah.
Yes, opioid. So we don't say, oh, we are running heroin clinic. No, it's not. There's nothing like heroin clinic. We are running opioid addiction. I mean, we are treating opioid addiction. That's all.
So the other thing is the area we're going to serve. Maybe we need to clarify that too, and then we had talked about doing a rural Kansas. Do we just do, I don't know, rural Kansas, that's it, or the Topeka area?
Yeah, I mean, we can choose anywhere. I mean, for this project, you know, we can choose Kansas, any of the village there, I mean, any of the rural area there. We can look at the classification of rural and city and urban set, and we can Google that. We know the population range, and in terms of income of the people in that area, in that locality, most part, we can Google that and find that information online.
Yeah, because that's what I wanted to search, but then I think we need to define our areas, so we just kind of get the stats for that area, and that's what we're using.
Yeah. Stevie, are you confused?
No, I'm just, this isn't my first business plan I've made, and so I'm just trying to, what I'm trying to do is make sure I kind of guide you guys, because you guys are the ones that know all of the, well, I mean, you don't know all of, but you are knowledgeable in this area. And so I'm trying to take your idea and kind of boil it down so it's just actual, kind of, we can have a business proposal. That's where my questions are kind of going to, is how can we get the idea that you guys have into a concise business proposal that we can take forward with this. And that, so that's why I understand what we're trying to do is opioids. But what I'm trying to get here is, who are we targeting with that? I mean, now that we figured out opioids, who is kind of the main demographic that are within that rural area? And maybe it's not even because we've talked about rural quite a bit. So the question I would have then is, with all of those different addicts that are possible out there, who is kind of the main people that we are kind of targeting within that group? Because I mean, we're trying to target everybody, then it,
No,
then
for the purpose of this project, we are not going to target everybody. That's why we said probably we choose from age 18 to 50 or 55. That kind of limit. It's not as if we don't have guys who are using drugs, uh, 16, 15, 12. We have guys who are 12, at age 12, taking drugs. I see them every day. We have guys old guys who are 50, 55, 60, 70, who are taking drugs. If you happen to go into any of these drug rehabilitation homes, you will find guys about age 50, 80, 70, all those ages, you'll find them there. But we are not going to target that for an outpatient clinic for this project. Probably we just want to limit ourselves to age 18 to 50, male and female. And that with that, we will be able to make profit because mostly those guys are within that range. And
but now again,
we are not going
one of the things you mentioned.
Pardon me?
I was going to say, well, right away you've mentioned profit again, and have you thought about any types of products that we could sell or anything that would be the profit generating portion? According to Professor Lejeune, we need to have that profit generating portion, or at least a segment of it. It can't all just be a social
No, it's
organization.
It's not social.
We're going to make profit with this clinic, Stephen. That's because every single patient is going to pay.
They're going to pay.
Not pay directly, but they're going to have health insurance. It could be Medicaid, worst case scenario, but that's a form of payment.
But that was what he was talking about within that video. And that's why I asked if you guys watched it, is because he was mentioning, when I kind of asked and posed those questions, he said he doesn't want anything to be just reliant on a government subsidy or something that could be. No, there needs to be like a hard dollar and cents product that we can collect in money. I mean, so it's not coming from. So I understand that insurance and different types of
payment,
healthcare, can come in as payment for their services. But he's also wanting to have something that's solid that they would actually pay in, or somebody would pay in all the time. There wouldn't be dependent on some other company or some other service that would pay.
Okay, I think you're taking that perhaps to the extreme. That's because we're not, like for this clinic, we're not going to rely on any government grants or anything.
Exactly.
Every single time you get a patient come in, you process their insurance, you get reimbursed. Exactly. So Medicaid would not necessarily be like a grant or anything. No. You have to see that patient, you have to bill for the specific service you provided, and then you get reimbursed accordingly. So I think that's the product we're selling. We're not going to have.
Now, can those ever be, can somebody ever turn down paying for that service for somebody?
Okay, so yes and no. When you go to your doctor, for instance, you have health insurance, right? You go in, they see you, you go home. You don't know if it's paid or if it's not paid. But what happens in the background is that I submit a claim to your insurance. I say, well, I saw Stephen today, he had a headache. And your insurance then tells me, well, if he had a headache, I pay $15 for a headache. And they send me a $15 check. Right? The only reason they may not pay, the reason I say yes and no, the only reason they may not pay, let's say I tell them you have a headache and I turn in my documentation. They say, well, you said he had a headache, but you forgot to tell me if it was on the right or the left. And then once I send a clarification and say it was on the right, they're going to send me my check.
Okay, so basically it's just kind of semantics. If something's not within if something that they need within their forms or whatever to process is not in there, that would be the only reason.
If you don't have everything that they need, they may not pay you. But as long as you have your paperwork, it's not, like there's that saying, I don't know if you've heard it before, that the government always pays its bills. But let's say if you're contracting with the government, if you're a clinic, for instance, or maybe you're a Steven, whatever business you have, and you're contracting with the government, they're always going to pay you unless they have the paperwork you have to follow. It's like the IRS. Unless you file all your taxes and everything is in order, you may not get that refund. But if you have everything in order, you're going to get a check, which is kind of how everything else works.
One of the things I think we need to do, just because I don't think well, I mean, I know I didn't explain things well enough to the professor.
Right.
So we may want to get a time where we can all get back together so you guys can explain that to him.
Okay.
Just to make sure that we are all on the same. Yeah, because I don't want to move forward with something and then all of a sudden, a week down the road, we're like, no, we got to do something completely different or something. So
yeah, Stephen, let me tell you this. Let me say this. I have two ladies who are my friends. They run a Sebastian clinic in DC here, in Washington DC. Two of them. They have a practice and they are mainly treating just treating Suboxone. I mean, giving Suboxone.
Mm.
They are not taking. They don't have a government fund. They don't have anything. They just run their practice, and that's what they do. So that's the kind of thing we are talking about.
It's like a private practice.
Exactly, right. It's a private practice. There are two ladies, just two ladies. They are not nurse practitioners, and they have a Sebastian clinic here in DC, and that's what they do.
Okay, so now one question I'd have then right away is that model works in DC. How does that translate to?
It works everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, it works everywhere. Right now, I work in a health center where we do have Sebastian clinic. We run a Sebastian clinic. We do primary care and all the rest. And in that city, Frederick, we have guys private practitioners who run Sebastian clinic in the town. So they make money. It's not as if because we meet all the time we discuss. If they don't make money, they won't run the practice.
They'll be closed.
So they'll be closed. So mostly the patients, they are Medicaid patients. They are Medicaid. They are Medicaid, Medicare, and people have insurance. And they're gonna come to the clinic and say, some of them, the insurance will send them because they become a problem to the insurance. The insurance want them to come to your clinic and
to go to the emergency room every time because they overdose. It's a problem. It becomes expensive.
Exactly. So they say that they're gonna pay. So there's no problem about it's not gonna be social service. It's not going to be that. We have very few addiction clinic, or we don't even have addiction clinic that are running social service. They don't do it free, no, except where it's owned by the city, like where I work right now, because it's the city that owns the clinic. It's a health center, so the city is paying. It's the one paying, so they don't really looking about price or cost or no cost or profit or no profit. So you know what? But other practices they do. They make money. So the issue of not making money does not arise at all.
Okay. I mean, again, like I said, like I said before, I'm not trying to be hard or anything. I'm just trying to understand myself.
Yeah.
So I think you thought we had to have a physical product, but
well, not necessarily a physical product, but we had to, like he mentioned in the video, there has to be. He was saying that there had to be some segment that was literal profit that generating for the company.
Right. Yeah, this is all going to be profitable. It sounds like we're fighting a social cause. It is a social for whatever business. But if it was all just a social entrepreneurship, we would not even be taking insurance. We'd just say, hey, we're Suboxone clinic, we're open. If you need Suboxone, just come in, and we would not check insurance, right? But we are putting the insurance factor because that's how we're going to get paid.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Or it could be, or we could run it like, say, the health department where, hey, if you have STDs, just come in, no questions asked, we'll treat you, we'll get your medications. But this is not the case. They're going to come in, they're going to present insurance, we're going to process it, then see them.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's our product.
So those different companies that you've mentioned, the ones that are in Frederick and elsewhere, how did they? What population did they target, or do they limit it all, or is it just anybody who can come in to use the service, or how did they figure that out?
As long as you have insurance, they'll book you in. Once you have insurance.
Okay, so basically what we're saying is that
if you don't have insurance, they tell you. If you don't have insurance, they send you to where you can have service without. thing.
Well, I guess what I was getting at is what I'm saying is that it sounds like we already have our niche market there.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, you take your entire 100% population, you whittle it down to opioid users.
Right.
I mean, that's just a small subsection of the entire population.
Addiction, right.
So I think I mean, it's quite wide ranging because, like demographics, it's male, female, pretty much any age. Because I'm sure people that are younger so I guess one of the things we could start looking at is like, I know kids that are born that are addicted already.
Right.
Would we target those ones or not? And so maybe if we really start targeting an age group, maybe take it from like 18 to maybe a smaller section than 55. I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I think 18 to 55 or 21 to 55 is reasonable. Because if we went to, because again, we're trying to be profitable. It's a first venture. Let's say we go out there with this venture and it's working out, we can always lower it down. Be like, you know what, we're seeing a couple of parents come in and ask if we could see their 15-year-old. But to start with, we know that most people that are going to seek treatment for, say, opioid addiction and stuff are going to be adults at least. So I think it's fair to just stay there for now. I understand we may have newborns and things, but as a brand new up and coming Suboxone clinic, it may be much. And considering the fact that you may see, like, say, one infant a month, then I don't think you would see those little kids outpatient really.
Yeah,
I don't think you've been giving them Suboxone. A lot of times when they're born like that too, perhaps mothers that are dealing with substance abuse, they get treated and withdraw and go through all that, and then they go home. So you don't necessarily need to be on Suboxone as a 5-year-old.
Yeah, we can always get back or expand, Stephen. I was working last year. I was working in a group rehab home where we are inpatient, and in that practice we were accepting adolescents. I mean, from 10 to 18, we were accepting them and put them in the house, but it became a problem for the practice. We were having problems from the government. We were having problems from the kids and all the rest. So we dropped them. They shut it down. Now, we are not ready to deal with this problem. So we shut it down, and they send them elsewhere. And we going to deal with adults.
Yeah, I think we probably should even do like 21 and up.
Yeah, up to today, that's what they do. That's what they do up now. They said, no, we are not going to handle adolescents. Go elsewhere.
Yeah.
So
I think our window, we could make it 21 to 55. That way, you don't have to deal with the parents or the grandma coming in, or adults that coming in to seek treatment because, okay, they know they need treatment, or maybe they were mandated by their insurance or their job to get treated. Yeah, those people are out there, Stephen, but I think it just gets more complex because now you have to have consent for the parents, you have to have, the minors, so it takes a little bit more than just, you would need extra steps and extra regulations in place.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Yeah, I mean, having somebody that can actually, as an adult, that are mature,
right,
to actually get into those contracts or whatever that we're going to be doing.
Right. So yeah, I think opioid addiction is our niche. Then we have our population. Then the other thing we need to figure out, I'm thinking, is location. Let's be specific. Let's give ourselves a window because we're going to need to come up with some numbers and statistics to kind of support, why we're going after this population. So I think if we say, I don't know, just plain rural Kansas or whatever county in Kansas, how do we do it? I think we have to pick a county at least, or even just I don't know. I think we have to get a little bit more specific than just rural Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, wherever I want to pick. I think Steven, you are in Kansas, right?
Yeah, I'm in urban Kansas. I mean, like I said, to me, when I say rural, I'm thinking like 1,000 people or less, if that. I mean, even that's pretty urban.
No, I think
But
1,000 or less is, to me, is rural.
No, that's not bad.
well, that's what I mean. When you think rural here is, I mean, that's what these people are considering. Just because, I mean, you got to think this is farm country, and there's a lot of space between towns, and those towns are very small.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they, what is the county in Topeka? I think, let me just do some little quick research here. Let's see what the opioid addiction rates are in some of those different counties, and then just pick one and go with it.
Are you guys able to see the updates to the Word document? Just I added more stuff to it.
I think I just minimized that to.
I was just checking, just making sure
search,
you guys are all seeing the same thing.
Yeah, I was seeing, what is it now? I was seeing it. And then I went to Google. Let me see. What is it?
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, yeah. Good. I'm just putting some bullet points of stuff we've just talked about so that we can expound upon once we get right in.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me just do a quick. I haven't come up with anything. I'm gonna say worst or Kansas County with the worst addiction rate. So this USA Today, counties with the worst drug problems in every state. So let's see. Lord have mercy. Continue. Allow that. Well, and for some reason I can't get on that website. Let's go back. Yeah, because once we have the area we want to serve, the specific group, then we can kind of look at that. Okay, so here just in general, they had, the CDC had like the 220 counties or the most vulnerable counties to an outbreak of HIV or Hep C as a result of the opioid epidemic. And on there they had 4 counties in Kansas: Woodson, Allen, Wilson, and Rawlins. Do any of them sound remotely close to you, Steven?
Oh, I'm not really from here. I've just been.
I know, you're a transplant.
Yeah. So, what were the counties again?
Woodson, Allen, Wilson, and Rawlins.
Okay, let me see where Woodson County is. Yates Center. I mean, it looks like Woodson is maybe like an hour away from here, possibly, I guess. Where were the other places? You said Woodson County and then
Allen, Allen, Wilson,
County.
and you got Woodson, Rawlins. Wilson.
And then you said Rowlands, like ROW?
Yep, LINS.
County, Kansas. All right, let me take a look at these on Google Maps real quick. And so we're trying to find places that are close to Topeka, correct?
Or I guess maybe like the worst county with opiates, because then that would mean we have a lot of business we could do there.
Well, Rowlands County is definitely, looks like it's a small little area that doesn't really have a lot by it. Let's see, Wilson is where now? Wilson would also be similar. There's some cities around. So there are cities within these counties, but they're not big by any means. The big cities here in Kansas would be
Kansas City,
Wichita, Topeka. Yeah, Topeka, Lawrence, and then Kansas City. I mean, they're all pretty big just because of their proximity to Kansas City. But so far, let's see. Rawlins, Wilson look pretty decent. Let me see. Allen County is also down in kind of a smaller rural area. And then where is Woodson County?
Which overall is fine, considering that's what we're targeting. I think the key is
if you want one that is the farthest out from like anywhere, it's probably going to be that Rawlins County. That's in, looks like upper northwest Kansas.
Like, I mean, you're looking like
you're basically closer to Colorado or Denver than you would be to Kansas City at this point. Whereas the other 3 counties looks like they're just southwest of Kansas City, kind of in like the bottom right hand corner of Kansas, kind of getting close to Missouri and then Oklahoma. So, I mean, it really just depends on which one you guys want to target, because they all don't really they're all fairly decent distance away from a larger city.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we'll just do a couple more searches here and find, the stats for opioid addiction in those counties, and also whether or not they have other, like, say, Suboxone clinic in those areas. And then if we have a good rate of addiction and we don't have other clinics, then we know it's a good place for business for us. Let's see. All right, I'm just gonna blind search. County. Kansas. No, it's so I pulled up Allen County, and they're like not even on the map for overdose because it's comparing them to like the state and the national average. They're like non-existent. Yeah.
Well, when everybody has that pastime of cow tipping out there in those rural areas, I'm sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or something else to do is, what does it have to be in Kansas? We could just look at the worst
I
county
would be
in the
happy
country.
with wherever, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just where we have a customer. We have customers. Let's see. I'm looking for find anything interesting. I'll let you guys know. So there's an article here by U.S. News that says opiate prescriptions are almost twice as likely for rural residents versus, I guess, city dwellers. So that could be part of the problem if we're starting them all on opiates and then they're staying on it. Yeah, I think this statement is going to be helpful to us or no. I don't know. Mm. Some juice. I think it would be nice to have some specific data for the particular. Well, I guess, because we're looking at maybe getting specific data for the state or the county and then focusing on that county. But the truth is, we're going to be interviewing people not in that county, really. So should we get that specific?
I guess the question is going to be is, are we looking, I guess that's why I was wondering last week what the motivation was behind this. Is it just something to start that you were looking at in your area first, Baba, and then wanting to spread to other places? Or was it something you read something, that said a specific county someplace in the United States and you're like, that's what I do and I'd like to see to help that? Or can you give a little input there?
Yeah, what I know is just like the article Jane is talking about, that opioid addiction is as high in rural areas as we do have it as we have in the cities. And the problem in the rural area is because we don't have services are not available for these guys. And so, what can we do to help these guys? So that's how it occurred to me, because Yeah, that's how. Because it's an area I've been working for a while now. I see. There was a time I was working here in Maryland, in the Jessup area. So what we do is we have van in that practice that will go to ask it. I mean, some of the rural areas we serve to bring our clients from there every day. They'll bring them or they take them back. So instead of back and forth, if we have practice in those areas where we do have these guys, that will help them. That's how, I mean, that's the way I look at it. So the fact is this: it's not because we just select a rural area by whatever definition we want to put it. We can Google that and find per census of WHO localities that are considered rural. We cite a practice there. People will come from that city, from that particular locality, and from that particular city and other surrounding areas. They're going to come. You know, so it's not just that because we cite in a particular place, we are only going to serve just that place. There might be other adjacent cities or areas that people that practice will benefit. You know, like our practice now, it's not people from Frederick only. It's not from city of Frederick only. We serve people from other areas. They come to our practice. So that's how it is. If you like the primary care service, the doctor's office or a doctor owns a clinic or owns a practice in a particular city, it's not going to be people from that city only that will be serving, that will be attending that practice. People will come from everywhere. You know, but that service is there in that rural area so that people in those rural areas can come there instead of traveling miles and miles to urban centers for these services.
So now, I guess a question I have then for that: are you thinking you would like to set up shop, whatever that may be, in each of these little rural areas that have any type of, or I mean, because it sounds like you're trying to get rid of having the need for a person to go from one area or wherever they're living at to that center, basically making something closer. But if we just put it in a specific area, wouldn't that have that same problem for other people within that rural area? Getting to instead of going to the larger city to get that services, they're still going to a different city.
No, but if they travel about 5 miles,
could be shorter.
5 miles to come to your practice, it's better to travel about 50 miles.
Yeah.
Okay.
To go to the
yeah, because
so then
we're not going to be able to have a clinic in every little or small town. But I think as long as you're closer to them, you may get more people treated that otherwise maybe have been.
So that's my question then: is what distances are you guys kind of thinking in regards to what's the shortest amount of miles a person would need to travel to get to a specific location for these services? What in your mind is that number?
Well, it's hard to say, only because we could be in that rural setting, let's say, whatever, in Allen County, Missouri, or Kansas. And you may get somebody who's like, thank God, now I have this clinic 10 minutes away. And you may get somebody who's even further out, driving an hour to come to you. But that's still going to be better than maybe that person driving 2 hours or 3 hours previously. So it's hard to say because you're not going to be able to limit that. You may still have somebody who drives 2 hours to come to you.
Yeah, sure.
Just because wherever they are on that corner, there is nowhere else.
So basically what I just got there is that we're trying to minimize the distance people have to travel, but that's not the main issue that we're trying to deal with. Because if some people can only have to travel 20 minutes, some people still have to travel a couple hours. That really doesn't.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, even the person traveling 2 hours now, you made their drive shorter. because otherwise
But
they
that's what
would continue driving to wherever they were going in the city if that distance is shorter for them. Yeah, and they were not going to be able to solve that long travel problem for everybody.
Okay, so that's not an issue that we're trying to solve. That is.
It's
I mean, it's a piece, but that is not the issue that we're trying to solve, right?
No, that's not.
we're trying to solve the access. We're trying to bring them more services, right?
Exactly.
So
Okay.
yes, we're cutting down on their travel, but are we going to eliminate that travel? Probably not. But
Okay.
it's just like, okay, so like now, since I moved to Southern Illinois, I probably had less Chick-fil-A because there's no Chick-fil-A where I live. I have to drive to St. Louis, which is 2 hours away, right? If I really, really too badly want to have Chick-fil-A, I would still drive. But the truth is, when I was in Maryland, I had a Chick-fil-A next to me. I went to Chick-fil-A a lot more. So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to go where there's otherwise no service, and just make it easier for those people to come. I mean, the difference with that Chick-fil-A example is that, well, I didn't need Chick-fil-A. I wanted Chick-fil-A. But those people really need those services. So if you bring it a little bit closer, you may have more people seeking care that would otherwise not seek care or overdose because they're just not ready to drive 6 hours round trip to get clean.
Well, I get that. And again, what I'm trying to do is figure out what we're really trying to get at. Because when we say targeting opioids in rural area, what does that actually mean? And so hearing that we want to put services in that rural area, that definitely helps, again, narrow our kind of our parameters of what we're trying to do, as well as put like a actual name on some of the services we're trying to actually provide.
Yeah. I think our biggest hurdle, which is what we're all trying to figure out now, is location. Because we have to, unless I'm wrong, but I'm thinking we have to specify, right? Like, yes, we did say rural, but then we have to pick, I don't know, a location or rural area.
Yeah, sure.
Which I don't know that answers your question necessarily, but
I guess one question that would maybe help us is there in most, now, and again, it's subjective because we each have our own thought process of, or idea of what rural and urban is, but do most urban cities have some sort of clinic or some sort of services that help treat addiction?
yes, many.
So can we say then that we're targeting areas that are outside of like an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of any of those kind of major
city?
Yeah.
I think that's a good definition.
Baba, you like that, or is that something?
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, as far as the point here is, we just want these guys who are out there who don't have access to services to have access. That's all. That's the main point.
Yeah, I like that idea too. Yeah. So then, what is going to be our city of reference? Are we talking an hour and a half, 2 hours from Kansas City?
Well, I mean, that's why I was asking the question, because you have both Wichita, you have Topeka, you have Kansas City. Those are the three big. I mean, you have other places out west too, and I'm sure Christine. Speaking of which, Christine just texted me back. She said, I just asked her, everything all right? Can you let me know if you've received this? I just texted her, just me and her, and she said, thank you so much. I had tomorrow on my calendar, so she had the wrong date on her calendar. I told her we're recording. She greatly appreciates that. And then
if she can join us, we need more brain power right now. So if she can join us now, it's fine.
Let me text her again.
Yeah. She may be the mind that we need right about now.
And so anyway, what I was getting at is that if some of those areas, those cities have some of those services available, and those people are traveling to those ones, anything outside of them. So like I said, if you think of Kansas, like my hand here, we got like Kansas City, Topeka, Lawrence over in this kind of corner, right, and kind of dead center is towards the bottom is Wichita. Even between those two areas, you got Emporia that would probably that's a little bit larger of a city. Out this way, you have Manhattan, Kansas. You have Salina, Kansas. And then really from Salina kind of on towards Colorado, there's a lot of open area where there's smaller cities, but nothing along the lines that you'd actually call a really big urban area.
Right. I mean, in terms of a reference point for us, we could just use Topeka, because when we talk about an hour and a half, 2 hours, that's kind of, in either directions, which would get you closer to Kansas City, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Topeka, we can pick that. That's okay. I mean.
Yeah, I think we just use that. It's just an easy reference point, I guess. So we have a niche. Now let me look at that other page and see what other particulars we need to address. 480, 481. Okay, so looking at like that TAM, SAM, whatever circles, I think we need to,
well,
I think we do.
That's a fairly easy one to do, just because you look at your total available market, that would technically be any addiction,
Right.
Whether it be alcohol, hell, even
right.
So, diabetics with food and stuff.
Right.
Yep.
So I think in terms of that, maybe because we need to just do a quick Google search and get numbers, right?
Yeah,
that's we could look at the total addiction rate in the state of Kansas. I
think the first thing would be is figuring out first how many people are in Kansas, and then what's the numbers for addiction in Kansas, right. And then if we can find some numbers on breaking out those addictions. So what are the opioid, any other subgroups of addiction.
Right.
And then that would be nailing it down. Then our target market would be just the opioid people, or the people within the opioid crisis.
Yeah. And then the very last one, I think that would kind of need a little bit of thoughts, which is our share of the market. That's the portion of, say, the opioid addiction in that, I guess, 2-mile radius or so from Topeka that we're likely to reach. So then we need to find, perhaps in that area, what is the opioid addiction rate. Let me see, what county is that? I'm just kind of look around it. Did Christine say anything about joining or not joining?
I texted her. I haven't received anything back from her yet.
Okay. Is she? In our TAM, that TAM, should we do just Kansas City or the country?
I would say the country, because Kansas City is just, I mean, it's a major metropolitan area. So, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe not to the same standards as DC and Baltimore and some of those areas, but it is still a large
Yeah, it is still,
city.
Yeah. Okay. I am on it, just looking. If I find anything interesting, I'll just send you or copy it and paste it in the file. I'll send you the link and you can add it into the document. But let's see.
You can add things to the document. You guys, I mean, both of you guys should be able to add stuff into that document. So I would just say, if under that
Add
TAM
that.
area, just put a link under there, and we can work with that from that point.
Yeah.
There's a National Institute on Drug Abuse. Well, it is with the NIH though. That's what I'm looking at now. Okay, so I have a statistic here. The only thing is that on this computer, let me try that document, but on this computer, I don't have Word, so I think I may not be able to edit. Let me see. Is that it? Yes. Some. Oh, that's good. Now, how would you guys differentiate the share of the market versus our serviceable or available market?
Which page were you reading that on again?
This is in the book, looking at.
Yeah, is that the 4? Is that the 2 something, or is that the 4 something? I can't remember.
That's the 480.
That's what it was.
I mean, log on.
I think I would probably do this a little different than I would probably say the TAM is the. No, I'd still keep it the same way. I mean, because the share of the market is just the people that we're actually going to be targeting, which is the target market. And that would still be just the opioid addicted residents of Kansas. The SAM, the serviceable area, again, that's. Oh, yeah, I'd probably bring it a little. So instead of all Kansas residents of the available market, that would be the addicted. And then the serviceable area would be drilling that a little bit further down. So I don't know if there's a subcategory of addiction that's above opioid addiction, or if there's something even after opioid addiction.
Yeah, so I think the TAM, total available market demand for a service or product. So the TAM should be perhaps the overall substance abuse rate in Kansas. And
yeah,
then,
so that would be the same one as that guy. So the TAM would be the Kansas residents with an addiction. So instead of the entire population of Kansas, it's already whittling it down. So it's addicted people is what we're talking about already. And now we're just taking it down to even
and
more.
then the SAM, it says serviceable available market. And then the SAM is the opioid addiction rate.
Yeah, those should be people that will be served by. Yeah, those should be people who will be benefiting from the service.
Yeah. So that's okay. So that's like our niche, because we found out our niche would be.
Our niche would be the target area. So is there so it goes Kansas residents with an addiction, then opioid addicted Kansas residents.
Right.
Is there a subcategory of opioid addicted Kansas residents that we could even target even more specifically?
No. So, okay, so when I was looking at the book, the SON, or the share of the market, that last one, it says, describes the share of the market you can realistically reach with your, I guess, cafe, right? So it's the SAM. So the SAM is like your share of the market without competition. And then your share of the market is, considering there's always competition, what is your share? So I think that would be something like the.
Yeah, because
like
the
let's say
SOM
1/3 of the opioid addicted, for instance, or like 1/4, or I don't know.
Well, and see, that's where because the SOM and the target market are essentially the same thing.
They're almost the same, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. Is there, or are we starting with is the total area market, the TAM, are we starting too wide there? Should we go even more broader than the Kansas residents with the addiction? Because if we're looking at just saying opioid addicted residents, if that's our target market, I think then we would go further up with saying that Kansas residents, and then the served market available, or the SAM, would be any resident with an addiction, and then nailing that even further, more realistically, the target market would be the opioid addicted Kansas residents, kind of like what we originally talked about. Or am I off base?
So yeah, so in terms of the SAM and TAM and stuff, I think it's more than just descriptions. I think we actually need to bring it down to some statistics and some numbers. So like our TAM, yes, we're going to explain it's the substance abuse rate in Kansas, for instance. So then we have to find, let's say, 3 million people deal with substance abuse in Kansas. And then in our SAM, we'll say, well, out of those 3 million people, 1 million people are dealing with an opioid problem. And then in our SOM, or share of the market, then we'll say, well, out of those million, out of that 1 million with the opioid problem, our share of the market, it's say 200,000. It's how many patients or how many of those we can realistically have in that service area that we're trying to serve.
Well, how do you determine?
Okay.
What's that?
How do you determine that?
Well, so then that's what I'm saying. We need to find statistics, right? So if we have the state statistic for the general substance abuse, we have state statistic for the opioid addiction, and then we decided, well, we're going to serve the surrounding Shawnee County community. If that, say, it's 1 out of 20 counties in Kansas, and we figure out already that the opioid rate addiction rate in Kansas is like 1 million, then we can say, well, realistically, if the 1 million is broken even into 20 or 30 counties, this is about our share of the market, 100,000. That's how many people we could realistically target in this area. Yeah, so I think, we need to, in terms of TAM and SAM and SUM, we're not only going to describe it, but then we also need to bring about statistics and numbers, because that's how we're going to come up with what's our share of the market. Otherwise, you don't know. So you have to know how many people are out there with an actual opioid problem. Because if you look at the stuff he posted, that example or instructions, I think he talks about numbers and statistics and however way you want to represent that. You kind of see where he has those graphs. On that example. You guys see it?
But that still holds. I mean, yeah, exactly. That still holds everything. Sorry, I was just reading some of the stuff over here too, and it still, that definitely works. We just need to find the statistics, at least for the numbers for specific areas. And I think because I think we've nailed it down to what we want to do. Probably just all Kansas residents with addictions, and then finally opioid addicted Kansas residents.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will nail down at least getting this thing on paper. Because I mean, I don't think we need to get too as in depth. I think that's one thing I'm trying to get too in depth too soon. When in reality, we just need to get done.
Yeah, I think that's about it. With our TAM, we have the general state of Kansas addiction rate. With our SAM, we have opioid addiction rate, and then with our target market, we have the opioid addiction rate, kind of like in that surrounding area, which, and then kind of go from there. I think it's actually, I was looking at the assignment. I don't know that it's one of those that you can necessarily break. What is it? Why am I not pulling it up? Just minimize this. Minimize that. Wait a minute, guys. I'm trying to find the document, Steven. I don't know where is it now. So yeah, so on there, just to clarify, what we have to perhaps just finish putting together is relation trees. Previous. So what we're going to work on to turn in, is it going to be something looking like this Pat the professional stuff that he posted?
Yeah, something similar to that.
Okay, that's what our final is going to look like.
Yes, this thing.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's what I'm looking at now. But I don't see where he labels on there for Sam and TAM and all that.
I think that just helps us break down the target customer, because up in the upper right hand side of that, it says Pat the Professional. So that all those things get you to Pat the Professional.
Okay.
All those different numbers and statistics for how many people are in those different areas.
Right.
And then that's where, like, if you look at the document, I started putting things like 21 plus age range. So once we get the opioid people that are addicted in Kansas, we can look at and base off of ages 21 plus, both male and female. We can start narrowing that large opioid population down, because, I mean, again, we're not targeting kids, anybody under the age 18.
Right.
I don't, maybe even incompetent if they aren't, if they're a ward or something like that. Right. Would that be something we'd look at? Probably not. Maybe the state would handle that.
Yeah,
I mean, stuff like that.
No. Yeah, this is just get more complicated.
We can't go to those areas. Those pieces are too difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
So not the rest. Family issues are not the rest.
Okay. Employment of women and men, earning. Okay, so then we need to have these charts too?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said, I'm wondering if we need to have charts too.
It wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Because I mean, that's going to be the thing that kind of shows. I mean, so one of the things that we could have in there for a graphic would be, so we have all the Kansas residents that are addicted, but like, what are the numbers for the different addictions? So like opioid, what are what are some alcohol,
right?
And have those ones broken out, so to show, out of this entire population, this is a large number of, opioids is even larger than this. But I guess one question I would have is, if we find that a different section of the population has more addiction, we might need to figure out how to say why we're focusing on this group compared to that group. So say, like, if opioid is less than some other addiction, why are we targeting this group instead of that group? I mean, my best answer would probably be, this group is not targeted as much as this group is. This group is larger, so of course you're going to have more services thrown at them compared to this one.
Right.
But I'm guessing you guys can make that sound a lot better than what I just said.
Yeah. Let's see what we come up with, and we can explain what we have, I guess.
But that would be one graph that I would say, and then we could even break it down. So that would be like all Kansas residents broken down by addiction, and then another graph we could do is that same addiction but male, female. Maybe even like what those addictions are based off of age range. Because that might even, because I mean, I know it's an entire gamut, but I mean, is one group higher than the other ones? And maybe, you know, we'll put more emphasis on maybe that group instead of a different group. And that might change what our 21 plus age range thing.
Okay.
For sure, we're gonna find more males than females.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the chart on the addiction rate, like the different addictions, it's going to be good, but the chart male versus female, I don't know.
Well, I was just saying that as another. I mean, I was just saying that as another possible chart. I mean, that could be something. Maybe we find that there's more females in a specific area, so maybe that's what we just target in that specific area, or males, or because I mean, even with outpatient, is there any kind of cautionary type tales that we need to think about when regards to, like, you know, sexual addiction or something? You know, with that, is that a problem that we have to, you know, think about within this clinic? Or so anyway, that's what I was thinking about with that.
Okay. We could certainly see if we have the data. I just don't see how it's going to enrich. But let's see what we find. How about that? Let's see what we find.
Yeah, if be even better if we could find stuff on like actual dollars and, you know, what's the income of those specific, you know, if they're addicted to something, what's the income level of those people?
How much does it cost?
You know? Well, not that, just like how much do they have any schooling? Because I mean, are they using designer drugs? So that would tell me that, you know, this person is, you know, has a little bit more income. Maybe they're more affluent family. That kind of stuff. That's the kind of what I'm thinking about. You know, is it
heroin or prescription drugs?
Yeah, I mean, what's their background? I mean, because it can be everybody that's, you know, rich and poor get addicted. So I mean, what for the people that are addicted to opioids, is there a number that we've kind of seen can target a specific group with a specific service compared to another group? Is it just purely like people that are living on the streets in this specific county? And, you know, because that would determine the services in that county, you know, compared to somebody else that might be a little bit more affluent and they're all employed and all working, and, you know.
But that's not going to change anything. It's not going to change the service we're going to provide for these guys, because whether they are poor or rich, you're still going to receive the same type of service.
But then I guess what I'm getting at is like services in regards to the people that are more affluent. We're not going to have to worry about trying to bus them in. I mean, more than likely they're going to have reliable transportation, whereas somebody that's, you know, not as well off, I mean, they might have issues with that service getting to our place of business. Yeah. So that's kind of what that, I mean, as much information, I guess, is the more information we have, the better off we're going to be. And then we can decide how we want to narrow to the graph, whatever. Exactly. I guess that's maybe the better thing to say instead of trying to figure out everything.
Okay. All right. So just to summarize what our final document needs to look like Pat the professional. Now, no, because the other stuff has like those questions.
Yeah, and I have them on here too. The if you look at the top of the this shared document, I have those 4 questions, and that's kind of the main thing.
So we need to have the answers to those too.
Well, I think I got most of them based off of what we were talking about If you guys want to take a look at them
I
and
think my
see
only
if
problem
that's
is that I tried figuring out where that I saw that document at some point on here, and now I just can't figure out how I get to it.
if you go into the chat of the Zoom, I put the link in there too,
It's
so
on
you should be able
there.
to click on that. It should take you to
Okay.
our.
No, here it is, I think. Yep, here it is. Okay. How for a problem a customer wants to see solved.
I didn't do 3 and 4.
Yes, your service solve this customer's problem. Well, we want to try at least. If so, do we have a viable professional? Okay. Dagger offer prices. Okay. Yeah, I'm typing now. Let's see. I'm gonna say the same thing, just maybe just reward it. What problem we're passionate about solving? We are passionate about increasing access to addiction treatment, I think. Or do we have to be specific at that point? Opioid addiction.
No, I think that's good. I mean, I think it's just asking what we're trying to do. What are we passionate about trying to help or.
I guess at this point we could just say in rural Kansas.
I'd still say in just rural areas because I mean, I think what we're trying to say here is that this can be transplanted anywhere, any rural area. It's just
you know
that
what?
we're
This
targeting.
is what the assignment he had given us. This is remember when we had ideas? I think these are the same questions. Or no?
Similar, yeah.
Yeah. Identify a problem the customer wants to see solved. Identify a problem a customer wants to see solved. Identify a problem a customer wants to see solved. Yes. It says who? Well, the who before that throws me off. Who is what, the customer?
Yeah, so based off of what we're trying to solve, is there an actual customer out there that needs to have that thing solved? That's basically what number 2 is. And so we have identified a customer that is facing that issue, and those people that are not easily serviced by urban areas.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of wordy, but that's essentially what I was trying to get at there.
Yeah. Who? So how about who? People dealing with addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in rural areas. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is who. Okay. That having to drive long hours. Treatment. So who? People dealing with addiction that are having to drive long hours to seek treatment. Oh no.
No, we don't have to put those driving. We don't have
Okay.
driving, yeah.
People dealing with addiction. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
in rural setting, I guess, in rural areas. How does your service solve this customer's problem?
That's where the issue of distance comes in, so that they don't.
Okay, so if you had distance in who, not only do they have a problem with addiction, but they also have a problem with driving far, then how you come closer and then you solve that problem.
Exactly.
How does your service solve this customer problem? Yes, by,
Bringing service closer to them.
yeah, bringing services closer.
Can I just say, I just love technology.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're in like 3 different states across the country, and yet we're all working on this time.
The
That's
same
just,
document, yeah.
it's too cool.
I didn't even know you could do that with the Word document.
Yeah, about a year ago is when they updated their service to include that.
Oh, nice. This is so this was so. Mm-hmm. Comma, I guess, or something. Why, if so, do we have a viable, profitable business model? Why? Why? Because substance abuse may lead to overdose and death. Without access to treatment. I don't know if he needs more than these one sentences we're answering. I don't know if we need longer, elaborate answers. Do we have a viable, profitable business model? So I'm wondering, with this number 4, are we supposed to give him a business model?
Okay.
You say something, brother?
No, tell us.
Well, the business model comes a little later. I think we're just trying to find our target. So I think just putting, we have a viable and
Like
profitable
those, these
business
answers are
models.
fine. I'm wondering if he wants like something elaborate.
I'd probably say no, just because we were having the meeting this past week. It seemed like everything was kind of general, and once we get the customer interviews done, that's when it really gets a little bit more firmed up and solidified as to exactly what our model and is going to be. So I think is as vague as we can make it is a good thing right now, at least right now. Later on,
Yeah. I'm just thinking, well, if you said no, then you shouldn't be doing this. Because I think the whole point is that in general, like we just kind of have that vague, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to make money like that and make money. So I think that's because if we're not going to make money, I mean, we may not have the whole business model down, right? But we at least know that it's viable and it's going to be profitable.
I mean, if we want to put something in there saying something about along the lines of what you guys are talking about with insurance or however else we're going to be generating
Yeah.
revenue, I think that would, I mean, can't hurt. The only thing you can say is no.
Right.
Or, and it actually might be better just put it up there up front in general too, so he can see. And if that's not the direction
Yeah.
we need to go, then we know we need to pivot
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what I was thinking. I think we need to kind of elaborate a little bit more on these. I think this one half line answers are not going to cut it.
You have to explain it and let him understand what we're talking about.
Right. So, yeah, if you kind of remember like your idea about you submitting it, I think this is kind of the same kind of thing. What's the problem? Who is affected? How are you going to solve it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's so this one line, it's
Yeah.
to get us started. But yeah, we need something elaborate to answer these.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I guess I wasn't following what you're talking about. Yeah, these are just bullet points to kind of get what we're just kind of a
Right.
brain dump,
Yeah, it needs to
essentially.
be more elaborate than this. And I think Baba, in his idea post, kind of has his answers. I know your post was really long, Baba, probably not that long, but I know in there we have answers to all these.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. I think maybe just looking at it and kind of post what you think goes where here, and we can look at it again tomorrow and make sure it's all good before we turn it in.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's that part there.
And then I can get a lot of stuff put together. Again, so sounds like we're kind of landing the ship. So the question I have is, what do we want to do, or what are our action steps from here? Who wants to take what kind of parts? Do we want to assign Christine anything? That's another question.
Ideally, we have to send this in by Sunday. It's Sunday, right?
Yeah.
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 No, it's not. Yes.
She's a member of this group, so she should put in some effort too. But we can't. I don't know if we want to assign her something that she's not here. I don't know. But
well, okay, how about we do this then? At least as of right now, Baba, if you want to do the 4 questions, since I mean I know you have a lot of you have a lot of the ideas for that.
Post already.
Yeah, I can do that.
Jeannie, if you would like to start doing some of the statistical work, because I think I guess you and Baba would have a better idea of where to look for some of those statistics than I would.
Sure.
And then once you get those, if you could just put them on this thing, and then what I can do is start getting the customer segment, and then kind of getting the TAM, SAM, and then the share of market or the target market, and then create some visuals based off of that information, and basically just kind of put it together. And then maybe if we could maybe get together like 15 minutes on Sunday, just later in the afternoon, just take a look together, make sure we're all in the same boat before we submit it.
Sure. Is this at 6 p.m. or midnight? I have a class at 6 p.m.
Midnight Sunday.
This is what
Yeah,
time?
I think everything's midnight on. Yeah.
Okay, this is midnight. Okay. Yes, that's fine. Now looking at that last section, that TAM, I think our available market is all Kansas residents with an addiction.
Well, the reason I put TAM just the residents is because it's basically 3 levels, that hierarchy. So that TAM would be all Kansas residents. And if that's the case, then that served available market, that SAM, is the residents with the addiction, and that would mean the share of market or the target would be the opioid. Because if you do addiction, the SAM would be your opioid addicted people, wouldn't it?
Right, but here, so yes.
So then what would the target market be if it's not? That's
It's
why I was asking if
going
there's something.
to
The
be,
age range, I guess.
yeah, it's going to be intensity with opioid addiction. It's going to be
I see. Yeah.
like
Sorry.
a local,
Yeah,
you know,
that's the area, the
that's
people they're
that.
actually
Yes,
targeting.
yes. So within the general opioid addicted, like about how many realistically are we going to be able to serve, or yeah.
Yep. And then the next one, the target is the actual people 21 to whatever,
Mhm.
non-infants, non-mentally handicapped, yada yada.
This
Sorry,
one,
I
the
wasn't
target market.
following.
Oops, I think I went back too far. So, oh no, I'm on the other bubble. What is it? No, this. Oh yeah. So the target market, you're thinking it's 21 and up within. I'm thinking that's more like within all the Kansas City residents with an opioid problem, right? In that, let's say Shawnee, what is it called? Shawnee County and surrounding, how many are in that, within
Yeah,
that perimeter? So that's our target market.
yeah. I guess it's gonna be people age 20 to 50 or 55 within in that area.
Right. So opioid, how do you spell opioid? Injection 21 to 55, is that what we agreed on? Years old. In Shawnee County and its surrounding area. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, so the question I have, again, going back to our demographics for our customer segment, Shawnee County has Topeka in it.
Right.
And if you go everywhere within that county, you can get to Topeka within probably less than a half hour, if that. So is
Okay, because we had agreed on about
hour to an hour and a half.
Around Topeka.
Yeah, I'd say just like an hour.
Right.
I would just say an hour outside of the service area, and that would.
So in Shawnee County and what the surrounding.
Let's see, people with opioid addiction problems within, outside.
In Shawnee County and
opioid addiction, years old.
I don't know.
People with opioid addiction, huh? Living outside. Something like that.
Living outside Shawnee County by 1 hour, and living within and outside. Right.
Sorry, I've been up since like 6 this morning. I'm kind of getting a little.
Okay.
Not only you.
So my wordings are getting a little out there.
How about living within Shawnee County and no further than an hour away from Shawnee County?
Living no closer than, yeah.
No further than an hour away from Shawnee County. So living in Shawnee, whatever that county is, and no further away than 1 hour.
Yeah, I mean, we probably still want to clean that up a little bit so when we make a pitch, we can actually
Yeah.
succinctly say it. But at least for tonight, that gets what we need
Okay.
across.
So what I'm gonna work on is getting statistics for that TAM, SAM,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And that will, and that
You have
the
your name
statistics
on
will.
there, Steven.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, because what I'll do is then write based off
Once
of
I
the
get to the
statistics, the
statistics, then
customer
you'll work
segment. Yeah, I'll basically
Okay.
get the customer segment and then the TAM, SAM, and
Okay.
just make that actually not bullet points, basically expound
Okay.
upon it. Is what I'm saying.
All right. Just let me look at that page 2 or 217. That
I just got a
customer
text message
segment.
from Christine. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's fine. What she said?
She said, sorry guys, I have my grandkids tonight. It's been a bit hectic with a 2-year-old and an 8-month-old. I'm so sorry I messed up the date.
It's okay. Looking at that customer segment, right? Because they did a customer segment. We're doing a niche. So I don't know if all of that is still going to apply. I just want us to clarify that real quick.
Because all these parts, what he's doing is all these are building up so that we can write a business plan for the company. And each of these areas are going to need to be in there. Customer segment, a total available market, the niche market, that's all got to be in there. So what he's doing is having us do these separate sections.
Okay. Just to get ready. Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Once we get more statistics, then I'm going to start going into creating both the customer segment and then expounding upon the target area market, the served available market, and then the target market.
All right, sounds good. I plan on working on it. I'm gonna take a little break now, but I'll get right back into it and get some numbers for you, Steven.
Okay. Yeah, and more than likely, I'm not going to start working on this until tomorrow at the latest. So I am. Once we're done here, I'm done for the evening.
All right. Sounds good, guys. I'll be on it. I think I want to kind of get it done tonight, or do as much as I can.
And by all means, if any of you guys, if there's stuff that you guys already see and then you want to start writing on it, I mean, I'm not saying that those are just our areas. If you want to start, it's a collaborative document, so if you feel free to do whatever.
Yeah. So like some of those traits like you had on there under that customer segment, I was wondering if something like homeless,
that would be something.
young working adults, employed.
And that's where the demographics or the statistics come in, because I mean, it's all over the place. So it's just a matter of who we want to target and if we can. So the more statistics, the better. I mean, it's basically, again, going back to what I'm saying.
All right, guys. All right. Okay, but when do you intend on getting those 4 questions?
Say that again.
When do you intend on working on those 4 questions?
Yeah, the number 4, right?
No, the 4 questions, that very first thing up there on the document.
Yeah. Tonight, once I take a little rest, I'll get back
to it. Okay.
I see what I can do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was fun.
Yeah, it was hard. Trying to figure this out.
Well, like I said, I'm gonna upload. I've been, like I said, I'm recording this, so I'm gonna. Once we're done here, I'm gonna put it up online again. Just send you guys links if you guys want to view it later on. You can,
yeah, let Christine know she's an expert in this area, so by all means, she needs to look at it and
Yeah.
Hi, Kristen. When you view, listen, yeah, just kind of look at everything and give us your input.
Yep, wherever you can insert yourself to help us out here, that would be appreciated.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, appreciate your time. I know it's probably about 10 o'clock for you, Baba, for sure.
Yes,
and
exactly.
But anyway, I'm glad we got to get some time together, and you know, I see us moving forward. And I mean, this would be cool if we can get this thing even launched. I mean, if that would be something that I'm shooting for, just to
Yeah,
see this launched. So
I'll be
anyway,
excited. All right, guys. Thank
Thank you all.
you.
yes, I'll talk to y'all
Good
later.
night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all.